person for that job, being that he's been part of the tri-epic, he's been part of, you know, all of the emergency response stuff, he knows it in his sleep.
That's why I don't sleep. And the other thing that happens, and I see this a lot in my teaching, in today's world, mercury incidences fall under the purview of the Board of Health.
Right.
And a lot of Board of Healths don't realize it. And it's a very important.
Well, and I just think that we could all learn a lot from you in that respect. You know, there's things about emergency response that we're not prepared for.
So let's,
I just think that,
Appreciate it.
when the proverbial stuff hits the fan, who are we all going to be more comfortable with, you know, with here? Someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion for who? Was it for me?
For
Was it for me?
Rochelle to be our third chain of command for emergency response.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of Roland being third, Ken, is there a reason why he shouldn't be second? Or why?
Because this might not be an emergency situation. This
Okay.
might be a case of Andy got the flu and the state is just looking for
Okay.
somebody in town to
Okay.
assign it.
I'm
The
just,
normal
Maritza
day-to-day,
knows
she's,
the most going on.
the day-to-day operator, and then if Maritza's over her head, she would defer to the next. Okay, I'm good.
And the rest of us are all the way.
Yeah.
Place all of Sue's information will be just beside it, and I'll make it official.
Okay,
The vote's been taken, right? I can have to do this.
yeah, so we're all set, the vote's been taken, discussion and all that.
Next,
What?
Seconded, we did not vote.
Oh, we didn't vote. All those in favor of
You're not
Roland?
signing anything.
Okay, okay. The only
Right now, we voted.
4 in favor, 1 opposed, Roland opposed, so.
Yes.
6, agenda item 6C, waistband penalties,
let's go back to,
emergency response.
let's go back there. It's never done.
We're going back to what?
Every single, the same topic, because it's more.
Oh, yeah, I should have known, this is like 10 items. I'm sorry.
So every single person in this room, or at least at this table, has taken incident command.
Sure.
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes.
I'm not done.
In an event that involves the Board of Health, or that is headed by the Board of Health, we would set up an incident command structure, whether it be our own incident command to handle the Board of Health's part of a bigger incident, in which case somebody from our board would also be reporting to the main incident commander, or in the case of where the Board of Health is the primary case of smallpox or some communicable disease, we would have to assume incident command on our own, and other departments would have their own, be reporting to our incident command. So we need a primary and backup, and it doesn't have to be from this board, but for all, and I don't think we want to go into to get all the answers today, but we got to start thinking about who's going to be incident commander, who's going to be liaison officer. Our safety officer, we're probably going to get one of the EMTs, or even a doctor from Harrington. Our finance officer, obviously, we're going to turn to the accountant. But we need to have the primary and backup on each of the positions in incident command so that we can, should the proverbial, we need to be ready to respond in an incident command. So I will get this paper out to everybody, just for consideration. I will also seek, I think I found some, but the descriptions of who the incident, like what does an incident commander do, what does a liaison officer do, I'll get them out to everybody, and I'll get Roland to get those out to
I was
everybody.
gonna say, Roland can get those out to us.
A lot of these situations, because we're still, if I may, we're still working for the town, so it depends what happens. A lot of these positions in incident management, as they call it today, we can use in the town hall. finance, things like that. One thing that, I don't know if you have on here, Randy, is a public information officer.
Yes.
One person to speak for us is key, because I've seen incidences go very quickly to the left when people are saying things that the organization, they shouldn't have said. And talking to the public and talking to the press is an art. It really is, to get your message across. That's a very important one.
Can we set up a meeting, like we've done with other things, just to discuss this? Can we do that now, just so everybody, so it's on record? Do you want to do that now?
A working meeting,
A working meeting, just to,
why don't we schedule it at the end of the meeting?
okay,
When, under the agenda item.
okay, that's perfect, so we'll just, under schedule next meeting is the working meeting also. All right, so it is now 7:15, and I'll get that, and we will cycle back to public hearing. So I'd like to entertain a motion to open up the public hearing for Holy Trinity Church, requests for fee waivers. Yeah?
Come on down.
Anyone like to make a motion to open? So moved, second? Okay, all those in favor? Fine. Okay, come on down. Hi. Hi. So, what we have is you're requesting a food waiver for selling food at the church, right?
No, no, serving.
Serving food.
Yeah, we don't ever really sell.
Okay, so tell us why.
Okay, well, we've had our health inspection and we've applied for the permit and we're requesting a waiver because we are a nonprofit organization. And in order to safely serve food for our nonprofit purpose, we need a food service permit. But we don't sell, we're not making a profit, we're not like a commercial business.
All right, thanks. Any questions?
Well, I know that in the past we have done this. However, I'm just a little concerned because if we continue to grant waivers for nonprofits, then I feel that that kind of sets a bad precedent. And then anybody can just come and get a waiver. So why do we even have an inspection fee? And out of curiosity, Andy, how much time does it take to do a kitchen inspection?
Kitchen inspection the size of Holy Trinity, probably between a half hour and an hour to do the inspection twice a year.
Okay.
If we find violations, 15 to 20 minutes for a follow-up inspection, twice a year.
Okay.
They're not even doing nonprofit, you're not even,
Well, no, I
Susan, you're not even
understand.
making, you're just serving, right?
Yes, I mean, we have community dinners that are open to the public, so we have to have a food service permit. And it's a free will offering, we want to put something in the pot, they do, but it's not even a fundraiser, if you will. And then we have Vacation Bible School, where it's open to the whole community for people to come in. We do serve lunch and snack, again, falls under the food service permit requirements.
Okay, all right. Tony, questions, concerns?
No questions, no concerns.
Okay, Dave?
Done.
Ron?
I'm just happy to see that these serve safe in the allergen is up to date, and that went ahead and took care of that, otherwise I'm good.
All right, so the motion on the table is a motion to waive the fee. What was the fee? Was it 100? Or
$100.
$100.
I don't.
I think it's $100.
It's a bill.
I saw 100, yeah.
It's $200.
Yeah, it's 200, this is the old permit application.
This is the old permit, right? All right, so that's what's confusing, because I thought it was 200 and then I saw here it was 100. So,
I think this was part of when we were discussing changing some of these and modifying some of these fees for this particular purpose that we have not done yet.
agreed. So, if no other discussion, I guess the motion on the table is to, a motion to waive the fees for Holy Trinity Church of $200 for serving food. Okay, anyone want to make that motion? No one wants to make,
I'll make the motion to waive the fee.
you make a motion to waive the fee. Anyone want to second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion? Anyone have any?
Ma'am, how many, I do have one.
Yeah.
How many meals per year or month do you serve by chance, off the top of your head?
Meals per month?
Yeah.
I can't even tell you. When we have a community dinner, we might get 100 people.
Okay.
For Vacation Bible School, last year we had 60 people. But that was an event sort of thing. We also need a food service permit for a coffee hour, is my understanding, because we serve our parishioners, but we serve anybody that would come off the street, and therefore we need
It's
to.
open to the public, right?
Churches are always open to the public. Anybody who got through the door is welcome.
Thank you, you answered my.
So I don't really have a figure there. Our average Sunday attendance is 50 to 60 every week. So when those people get coffee and whatever, we serve a coffee hour.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, a motion, second, discussion, anything else? Ronald? Beth? Ron? Okay, if not, all those in favor of waiving the fees for Holy Trinity Church? Okay, all those opposed? Okay, 4-4, and one opposed, with a note that we need to visit our fee schedule at some, we need to visit our.
We visited this particular item with the intent of looking at nonprofits. Should we just generally waive nonprofits?
Right.
And the board said at the time, no, we will take them on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
I restate what I believe I said then. Be careful taking them on a case-by-case basis, because if you set a precedent for the good nonprofits and a less desirable nonprofit comes in, you better have a real good reason for waiving that, for not waiving that fee if you've waived all the other nonprofits.
I'm sure we will, though.
So, I remember that vote also, and I was against a general waive because I believe that if people are gonna look for a waive, they need to come to the board. And they just can't just expect to have the fee waived. Not in your case, but somebody claiming they're a nonprofit, so therefore they don't have to. They actually have to come here and answer those questions about whether they're serving
Yes, I
coffee,
agree.
food, how many people and all that.
As I recall, the reason why it was because we were looking at the fees altogether, and then at that point, that also tied into the fees that we were going to have for the donation boxes, and because that got put on the back burner, this as well got put on the back burner. So we didn't agree
The policy
to
was
anything.
The policy was adopted to take them on a case-by-case basis at that fee. So it exists as a policy right now, not as a, actually, it exists as a fee because that's how it existed before. We voted not to change it, but then we
Right,
would take them on a
because
case-by-case.
because we were going to look at the entire fee schedule once we got to the donation boxes that we have not done yet.
Okay,
So,
okay. All right, thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
So,
Now we can do the rest.
we can do the next one, thank you, because timing was good. I would like to close the Holy Trinity Church public hearing at 7:24. Anyone want to make a motion?
motion.
Okay, second? Second. Okay. All those in favor of closing the hearing? Unanimous, okay. Let's go to, it is now 7:25, and I'd like to open the public hearing for the Elm Street Congregational Church for a fee waiver. So, you can probably guess what we're gonna ask, so we won't even ask, so tell us.
Well, we're a nonprofit church. We have attendance on Sundays of around 40 to 50 people. We serve coffee hour after all our services. We have a open community meal once a month. We also have special occasions that we serve refreshments, Christmas Eve, and after funerals, we'll put on refreshments. And any installations, ordinations, anything like that. We had no problem when the fee was $100 a year, and then a couple of years ago it went to $200. And so I think it was Maritza I spoke to, and she said, well, why don't you ask for a waiver? I said, we didn't know that we could. So we did last year, and so we're asking again.
Okay. So, questions?
No question, just a quick concern.
Okay.
Just your serve safe, just next year in June expires. Just keep me abreast of that.
Okay, it's there, I know that the ladies will have to go back and
Okay. That's
do
all I have.
that. Okay.
The office won't go for a permit without serve safe and allergen.
The only reason I brought it up is coming up in about 6-7 months, that's all.
I'll try to remember to speak to her.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Start from this end, Roland. All set? Yep. All set? So, if nothing else, I'd like to entertain a motion to waive the fees for Elm Street for the fees, food services, retail permit.
Make a motion to waive the fees.
Anyone want to second it? Second it, all right, any other discussion? So, if not, all those in favor of waiving the fees? All those opposed? Okay, 4-1. Thank you very much, the motion passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
In the working meeting that we're going to have about the emergency response, can we also put on there to discuss the fee waivers and the fees going forward?
Okay.
Put donation boxes on
Yes, I do.
there.
There's no real need.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Can you do a nonprofit fee and a for-profit fee?
Well, that's, I think, where you're going,
I
right?
don't even
Well,
want,
no,
I don't think that would be,
I don't think that we can do that. I think that we can do a reduced fee
Bingo.
for different situations. But I think to differentiate between a nonprofit and a for-profit is not the right way to look at it. And I'm for that.
It's not illegal to do it that way. It's very frequently done, set in a nonprofit.
but the only problem is, going to what you're saying, is that regardless of profit or no profit, if there was issues that your office had to go back and do re-inspections, and there was,
Okay.
time is money.
Okay, I don't want to discuss that here. I mean, let's
That's my
let's do
point.
that at the working meeting and beat that. What's that?
Motion to close.
Oh,
I'll make a
yes.
motion to close.
Should I close the meeting? Second? Okay, all those in favor of closing? Great. Excellent. So now we have to jump back, because where are we right now?
Should we see?
16.
Solid waste regulations, set policy, emergency response, waste ban penalties. Discussion. Andy, you want to introduce this?
First me. This was actually
We don't have anybody this week, right?
Dave not, we don't have anybody for Kelly, we're just setting up the violations now. Dave Adams and I went to a seminar and had opportunity sit between classes and discuss the impact of these fees. We are sending out fees, one of our fines, one of the fines was $9,000. These fines are on the scale of DEP fines. I do not have an opinion on it. I don't care if they're $1 million or $2. I'm not a revenue generator, that's not my job. But just, we had opportunity to exercise the authority, exercise the program that we put in place, and Dave and I kind of discussed it and figured that it might be worth bringing back and saying, are we comfortable with the fees, the size of the fees? And again, I'm not going to influence the board either way, it's up to the board how they want to deal with it. But $100 a tire. The way the program works right now is 26 tires are forgiven if you don't exceed 26 tires. If you go over 26 tires, then you are penalized $100 a tire from the first tire, and I say tires, any waistband item. So the 26 become part of the fine. So I guess I leave it to the board to discuss it. If it's okay, I'm good with it. We had, I believe, one violation for November that we just sent out. I think it was just one. So maybe the fines are working, I don't know.
I would like, I mean, if it's okay with, I would like to have a working meeting with that rather than discuss it here, and then just bring it back a proposal to the board that we can then vote on, rather than have the open discussion right now. And could be, and we could do that all on the same day, you know, the working meetings. We could just go through and come up with proposals that we're gonna propose to the board. So are you okay with that? You just have a working meeting and for the waistband penalties? Okay, all set? So we'll just,
Could I ask a question about that?
yeah.
What do you mean by working meeting? Are public allowed at these meetings?
Yeah, that's why we were going to schedule the next meeting and say it here, because it would be an open meeting. But then, at that point, it's not like this, where a board, we would sit around the table and we would discuss it and back and forth, and we would come up with a proposal. We wouldn't make the decision, we would come up with a proposal that would be proposed to the board.
And then we'll have that.
The public is invited to a working meeting.
Yeah.
It is up to the board. There won't be an agenda item on that meeting for citizens forum. There will be 4 agenda items. This, donation boxes, fees, and
Incident management.
incident management.
And by all
So
means,
that will be on the agenda. It will be up to the chair and the board whether they want to allow citizen comment. The purpose of a working meeting is to produce a document.
I definitely think citizen, input on that. If you're okay with that, just do it at the working meeting and then just come back to this board with a proposal. You all set? All right, so if nothing else, agenda item 7, hi Tracy, and I did go there and I did get some radios, thank you.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Good, okay. Good evening. So hello, welcome to the 2 new members. I'm Tracy Markham. Of course, Roland and I, we've worked together over the years on a few things. I'm Tracy Markham, I'm the site manager up at the landfill, and I've been up there since 2004. So the update that I have for the board is the permit application that's in with DEP right now, some recent work that we did on the landfill gas to energy engine, and household hazard waste day. So the permits that are in right now, remember we have CAD 1, which is the smaller closure permit, where next year we'll be installing approximately 7 acres of DEP approved final cap on the east side of the landfill. So that's the permit that I'm speaking about right now, CAD 1. So that was submitted to DEP on November 14th. And it's very common when you submit an application for construction of landfill components, DEP will come out and kind of do a site visit or site inspection in relation to that project, and they usually look at the whole site when they're there. So today we did have 2 representatives from DEP Wetlands on site to look at some of the components of areas of that permit application, and they did focus on the facility. So that permit is in right now for the administrative review, and that's usually, we should be getting word back on that anytime now, in the next week. And then it would go, if administrative review is complete, then it would go into the technical review, which is another, I think, 24 days. I might be off a little bit on that. A review time in which DEP will either ask us questions through a technical deficiency letter, ask us for additional information, or they would then approve the permit at that point. So that's a little bit of the timeline on that. But again, construction season, obviously we're not going to be doing construction in January, February, March. You're really looking April, May as a time frame for that. And then next year, because we have 2 new board members, you're going to hear me talking about CAD 1 and CAD 2 all the time. CAD is corrective action design. That is the permit process you have to follow when you are putting cap on a landfill. So, and as you know, the landfill is going to be moving to putting the last waste in place by the end of December of 2018. So in 18, we'll be putting in our final waste. In 18, we'll be building that CAD 1 area, that 7 acres. And in 18, we'll also be putting in a second CAD application, CAD 2, to then cap the roughly 25 acres remaining of the landfill. And that will go through the same process as CAD 1. And it's a little bit too far out at this point to talk about, okay, when would we be constructing that final CAD 2? We're just a little too far out in the future to give you a good time frame on when that would be. So any questions on the CAD 1 or CAD 2, where we're at and where we're going there?
The closure plan will just be for closure, right? It won't be for post-closure uses, stuff like that. Will Casella propose after closing uses, passive uses, solar uses and stuff like that? Or is that gonna be for the town to apply to DEP and say, what can we use this for?
Post-closure, at this point, it would be up to the town. If they want to pursue a post-closure permit, the town could do that. But at this point, the CAD 1 and CAD 2 permit is going to be installed standard or closure turf final cap.
And originally, when the landfill was looking to expansion, they were talking about earthen berms.
Yep.
And they had proposed that there would be solar arrays eventually on those earthen berms. Is that something that Casella is still looking, SRD is still looking at as a potential continued income source on that hill?
The solar arrays were specific to the construction of the walls. They were part of the wall. So without the wall, there wouldn't be the solar aspect.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so our landfill gas to energy engine, we had completed a full overhaul of the engine, something you periodically, as you get to hours, times of the engine, you do specific maintenance based on those hours. So our last was a complete overhaul of the engine. And that was completed, and the engine was back up and running as of Friday of last week. So we've been operating the engine for another full week from there. But that's pretty standard, how things go when you're working with a gas to energy engine.
What happens to the gas to energy system post-closure?
As with any other landfill, the methane curve is still there. I mean, you cap the landfill, you're still generating methane for a certain period of time. I can't pinpoint for you exactly how long that will be. It's up to the engine about, how low it will go with gas quality before. But essentially what's gonna happen, Dave, is you're gonna run that landfill gas to energy engine as long as you can get it at its peaks. It's a 1.6 megawatt engine, so you would have to ask an engineer how low you go with that before you're actually still being efficient with still a combustion engine. And then what would end up happening is when there was no longer enough gas to run the engine, you would then move over to flare system as being your primary source of gas destruct.
But to Dave's point, and I'm gonna put him on the spot and I don't think you can answer this. Will Casella continue to run that gas to energy plant, or would that be something that the town wants to keep on the town entitlement?
So the landfill gas to energy engine is the property of Casella. We own that. We share the revenues with the town. So as we go through the 30-year post-closure, that engine would remain the property of Casella. I haven't seen or heard anything to the contrary of that. if the town wants to buy it. I don't, I don't know, we haven't discussed that. Then the last update I had was how we had our last Household Pathways Day event for 2017 was on last Saturday, December 2nd. I've been doing these events 4 times a year for 14 years, and this was by far the most quiet event we have had. We normally see on an average event 300 cars, and we saw about half of that. We do not count cars that are coming just to use the residential drop-off. That was the majority of the traffic that we had on that Saturday. So I was a little surprised. It was a nice day, the sun was out, you know, I figured it was a nice enough day, but we really did not see much travel there.
Is it the policy to check licenses or just ask whether you're a Southbridge or Charlton?
We check licenses.
Well, they did,
Somebody didn't check your license?
no, they just asked.
Okay.
Yeah, you check mine out.
Ask Nick Tortoise how many times I've asked him for his license.
No, they have checked it, but I didn't know whether,
Yeah,
I didn't, I don't know whether that.
yeah, I know who was working the gate, I'll take care of that.
So,
Maybe they recognized you.
yeah, well,
I asked Nick Tortoise how many times I've asked him for his license.
David was a hazardous waste that you attended, not the residential drop off.
hazardous waste.
Yeah,
So, anything else, Tracy?
that's all I have.
Any questions for Tracy?
One quick thing, reading one of the bi-monthly reports, and I by no means freak out with the stuff, but it was reported when the sensors went off for the radiation and that load was sent back. I understand it goes off all the time in Auburn, because there's somebody that had cancer treatment and it was on the
Variety
outside.
of things, yeah.
Absolutely. Does any report come back of what it was?
What happens in this case, there's a set protocol.
Yeah.
The protocol is set by Mass DPH. It's actually not a Mass DEP thing, it's Mass DPH. So what we do is, and since you've asked, I'll just give you a quick rundown of what our process is. We run the vehicle through 3 times to make sure that we have a true detection. And then what we do is collect a certain amount of information that goes on a specific form that is sent to Mass DPH. And at that point, we take only their direction. And I've only seen 2 things happen before. They either tell us they want the vehicle to stay there and have a third party come and assess the vehicle, or they provide the DOT paperwork that mandates that vehicle goes back to its exact point of origin. It cannot stop at Dunkin' Donuts, it cannot stop and get gas, it cannot stop anywhere, it has to go directly to its point of origin. And it can't leave our facility without that. So it's very standard, it's the same thing every time, and we just rely on DPH. And 9 times out of 10, it goes back to its point of origin. And then when that happens, where the load goes back to, there's several, but there's a couple that are a little more reliable and that they can get to you faster. Nuclear Atlantic is one that we use. They come out and they actually survey the entire load as the load is pumped off, and they'll find that one bag that had, somebody's had some sort of radiation treatment and they didn't hold their waste long enough, and it's tissues or paper plates or what have you. And what they do is each facility has a set place that if you have this material, it's your hot load center. That bag would then go in the locker or whatever you use at your facility. And it's labeled and it's held on to, it's usually 7 to 10 days. And then Atlantic Nuclear comes back, they scan that material, see that it's below the levels, and then continue on its way.
So you get, yeah, I just wanted to gain some information if anybody wanted to try to see if they could pull a fast one, that we have. I mean, 90% of the time it's going to be a medical issue.
It is, but there's also a sensitivity to make sure that it's not the driver involved in that situation as well. People are very concerned about employers finding out about their medical health issues. Some people are concerned about that. So there's a lot of steps that we take to make sure that we handle it.
Because I know the half-life is really quick, so it's
On medical isotopes, yes it is. I am not a radiation expert, but I have plenty of knowledge of how the procedure goes and what we see in our industry for those.
good. Thank you.
Only one time have I ever seen a source different of that.
Wasn't one time there was an animal?
No, I don't remember an animal. There was 2 different things. We have a lot of naturally occurring arsenic in our water, and not arsenic. Bedrock has quite a bit of natural
Right.
radioactive isotopes in it, so some homes that use a water filter and take that water filter and chuck it in, that can sometimes show up on a meter. Or there was a removal of, this was not at our facility, this is something I came into at another facility, smoke detectors. A contractor went in and did a rehab on a building and changed out all the smoke detectors, and some of them have a little,
Americium.
yeah.
Yep.
And that was it. And those are segregated and sent off as very expensive waste to the site that can handle it, so. But that's the nutshell on that.
Perfect, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, agenda item 8, chairman's announcements. I just want to say I thought the zombie thing went off as a proof of concept, went off fairly well. I think we were expecting from the police, they were saying about 50, we had 230 people show up, and they seem to, what's that?
I said if not even more.
If not more. I mean, I think there's definitely, it did not go off like it planned, but the plan was based on 50 people, not 250 people. So that's a good thing to go wrong. I do think there's definite potential there. I've already talked to one of the elementary schools, and we're talking about doing a sustainability science fair. Kind of, let's say the parade ends at the old high school, and alternative energy, sustainability, kind of the end of the world, sustainable living thing to do that. So the elementary schools will do making wind generating or maybe solar ovens, and then we'll do that as a elementary science fair. So I already hooked in the vice principal, and then I was thinking of you with sustainable. And and I'm definitely roping you in that. I mean, you remember years ago we had somebody talking about